again, will always say this, I think that it's an issue that men in general need to come together and fix and change the way that men view women, the way that men approach women, the way that men behave around women. It's not something that we can fix, it's for men to teach men.
If I were a boy, even just for a day.
Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today is another video from my Let's Talk series. Today we are discussing what it is to be a woman. I'm going to be touching on a few different scenarios that happen throughout my childhood and that are probably very relatable to you up until my adulthood, and then also in the work environment. These are just a few things of what it is to be a woman in this day and age, things that we go through, the experiences that we face, and as I always say, it's very important for me to start a discussion surrounding these topics. If you have anything that you would like to add, then make sure you comment down below. The look that I'm doing is just a very simple glowy makeup look today. Something that's easy to wear, still full glam, but very light, that's wearable during the daytime. I hope you guys enjoy watching this video, and I'm gonna get straight into the look now. Okay guys, so I did actually have a list. I think it's upstairs somewhere. So just as usual, I'm just gonna roll with it like I always do. So I think when you're talking about what it is to be a woman, also just like your everyday life being a woman, I think it's really important to address the little things that young girls go through that kind of mold us into the women we are today. Now, most of the time these things are not positive things. The little things that we experience as children are always very negative when being a little girl, and I think some of that seeps into us being women and then being labelled as too aggressive, too controlling, you know, being too dominant. All of these labels that get put onto us women, some of us women, are a result of childhood experiences and sometimes childhood trauma. One of the things that actually popped into my head when I was, you know, thinking about this topic, how we dressed when we were little girls. So in particular, not being able to wear shorts or skirts, and more specifically around the men in our families and friends. I think that boils down to the over-sexualization of girls. Let's be real, how many times have you been told, like, don't wear this uncle's coming, or don't wear this, you know, this male member of the family is coming, you can't wear this because, you know, they're gonna look. Why in the first place would that person be looking at a little girl in that way? I just remember always looking at my brother or my male family members and cousins, and as a child, like young child, be boiling hot and you're just thinking, oh my god, I wish I was a boy. All I want to do right now is wear like a vest and shorts and run around in the water and the garden and just be free. But a lot of the time we weren't able to because we were constantly, it's like a feeling of constantly being preyed on. And of course those are measures that our parents and family members put in place to protect us. But then it's like, if they are family members and friends and people that are close to us, why should we have to put in these measures to protect our young girls? Another one of the things that actually came to mind, I'm sure that a lot of girls will probably relate to this. It's I don't know whether it was very much a thing within my family or whether it was in general like a South Asian thing, or whether other cultures also had this. The way that you sit. Now, people are going to have very different views on this, but just keep an open mind. So I don't know if growing up, any of you had, you know, this thing about the way that you sit was either disrespectful or like, you shouldn't sit a certain way in front of like male family members. And again, this boils down to the same thing as like how you dress. For example, crossing your legs in front of elders or like men was seen as disrespectful. Now that I'm an adult and I look back, I really feel like it was a very odd way of making it seem like having one leg over the other was very over sexualized for a girl to do that. Because I also remember if a male family member would do that, everybody would talk about it like super feminine, or would kind of label him as like gay, which kind of made me think like, what was the reason? But these are only things that you really think about as you get older and you look back with like more experience and more education, and you think like, okay, that's super weird. The thing that came to mind was as a child, like always being told to, if you're just a child and you're like laying there or, you know, just playing games or whatever, like just very innocent behaviour, we would always be told to close our legs. I understand that was kind of teaching us like modesty and, you know, but I also feel like it was again another way of protecting us from maybe the male predators that we had around us amidst our friends and family members. I don't know. Like generally, I just feel like kids should be able to be kids. They shouldn't have to be worrying about how they sit or, you know, who's looking this way or who's looking at you in a weird way. Like, I don't feel like that should be a thing that children should have to worry about, because I know my brothers and my cousins who are males never had to worry about things like that when they were growing up. And in a way, it kind of takes away your innocence, and it kind of takes away, you know, the pureness of your childhood by having to worry about those things as a young girl. Another thing that actually comes to mind is when there would be big family events, when like you'd have like everyone would come for dinners and stuff, the men and the women being separated. And if you were a young girl who was kind of mixing with their male cousins or male family members, you were kind of like frowned upon for doing so. But then again, it makes me think, like, if all friends and family members are kind of grouping together for a dinner date or whatever else it might be, why do we need to separate? It makes me feel like that's not a safe space. It's almost as if the male family members are unable to control themselves. And you know, that just opens up a whole other conversation, and I don't know whether that was predominantly in South Asian communities, or whether again other cultures and other communities experience the same things when they were growing up around their friends and family members. I do kind of look at that sideways now that I'm older, like, why was that a thing? They were just our cousins, we just wanted to play. Like, it's very, very weird. I mean, those are just a couple instances that come to mind. I'm so sure that there are so many others. If there are any that you can think of that have probably gone way over my head, then comment them down below and let me know. I think it's important for us to kind of highlight these things so that when we have children, we don't make our children feel this way, or even have to think back on moments in their childhood where they're like, okay, that was weird. I think these sorts of themes as well continue as you get older. For example, like when you're heading into, you know, secondary school or college or whatever it may be, there's always this really weird behavior when you start to mix with male friends. It's literally as if it's super duper frowned upon for you to have male friends. More often than not, I feel like we would hide the fact that we were having male friends. I highlight this as well because I know that the male family members, you know, my brother never had that issue, cousins never had that issue, just the males in general never had those issues. Now, what's sad to me mostly is that I feel like more so the mums in our lives, the aunties in our lives, I feel like they really pressed on this as a way of trying to protect us, because I feel like they know what's out there. They know repercussions that young girls can face if a friendship turns into something more or goes the wrong way. I mean, the males I can't really speak for. Generally, I just think it's a form of control, or even because the male family members and males around you know what men are capable of, and the way that men view women, the way that men are around women, the way that men treat women, which just goes to show as well. I think it just goes to show how deep-rooted the mistreatment of women is. Again, we'll always say this, I think that it's an issue that men in general need to come together and fix and change the way that men view women, the way that men approach women, the way that men behave around women. It's not something that we can fix, it's for men to teach men. Again, I feel like there's other experiences that I'm missing out because I did grow up mostly around women. My family is like women galore, and I feel like the experiences of a girl who grew up predominantly around men will be very, very different. I am intrigued. Comment down below and let me know if I'm missing out any other sort of scenarios that women experience when they are growing up largely around men. I can only imagine what you guys go through. Now that is as a child, as a teenager. What about when you are a fully grown woman? The one thing that sprung to my mind was mostly about, you know, situations within the workplace. Because men are always talking about, oh, they want equality, they have equality. But equality is not just about having the same pay, though in many instances that's not the case. Equality is also about having to act differently at work to get the same treatment, not having to, you know, put up with weird remarks and weird behaviour. Can't just give us basic human rights and think we're gonna shut up. So when you think about the workplace, you probably think about, you know, sexist remarks that are made, not being taken seriously because you're a woman, sexually harassed in really, really weird ways as well. I cannot tell you how many times I have been put in really awkward situations at work. It's just like super duper uncomfortable. It makes me uncomfortable even to talk about it. And bear in mind, I am very, very careful with how I approach men within the workplace now, because I know, like, I don't want people to get the wrong idea. In my experience, even when I have done that and I don't want people to get the wrong idea, they still get the wrong idea somehow, because in their head they're so entitled to their behaviour that they think they can behave that way with you regardless. I've gotten weird messages from people at work, like beyond work hours, kind of just like making advances in a really, really weird way where it's difficult to pinpoint it if you were ever to report their behaviour. In addition to that, I don't know if any women will agree with me, but how awkward is it when you kind of accidentally walk into a really uncomfortable conversation about men kind of having like locker room talk at work and then trying to pull you into it in a really uncomfortable way. That is another situation that I just cannot get my head around. Save that conversation for after work, at your work drinks. Why are you doing it within the workplace? Why is that okay? If you're a man and you're watching this and you're like, why didn't you report it? Why didn't you say nothing? You're sitting here complaining but you didn't say nothing. Even when you do say something, and this is from experience, nothing happens. Okay, you're still put in an uncomfortable situation. I've literally outright told people, like, you're making me uncomfortable, you're being weird, I'm not comfortable with this, and they just like they start to act like the victim, and they start to make you feel bad for putting them in their position and letting them know your behaviour is wrong. I've had colleagues that have complained about other male colleagues' behaviours at work, and she's fully given them examples and instances where, you know, their behaviour has been inappropriate or their behaviour has made her feel uncomfortable, and nothing had happened. Now, I'm not trying to be Miss Annoying Feminist, but I think whilst everyone is listening to the voices of women, it's important to push that discussion further and make them understand even more why and how these situations occur. They are very, very deep rooted, and it's more than just out of the blue. It boils down to a lot of the experiences that we face from as young as, you know, toddler age. And more than anything, I think it's important for men to listen. Okay, you may not understand, but listen. It's the same thing as anything else. Listen and try and understand. These are literally just a couple of different scenarios that come to mind for me. I mean, it goes without saying that the conversation goes way, 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 way deeper, but I only have a number of minutes to discuss these types of topics. So if you do have anything further to add, then make sure you mention it below. I know that there are countless other scenarios of where being a woman is very, very difficult, and also instances where growing up being a girl was not like my favourite thing to do. But like I always say, there is no harm in having a discussion about these types of things, and most importantly, having the discussion is what really matters. Like I always say, having a discussion is what's really important. Opening a space for everyone to discuss these things and allow everybody's voices to be heard is really, really important in kind of planting a seed and making some form of change, even if it's a little bit. And hopefully me sharing my few scenarios that have come to mind might spark a few experiences that you have faced, and again, start a conversation. I am gonna go finish off my base and I'll be back in a second. Okay guys, so my makeup is done. As I mentioned before, this is just a nice glowy summer look, something that's easy to do and very quick. Also something that's not too intense on the face. So it's a very wearable full face glam during the summer in the daytime. This look is also very bronzy, so if you're looking for a nice summertime glow, then this is a perfect look. For my eyes, I use a combination of the Too Faced Chocolate Bar palette and also the Huda Beauty Rose Gold Remastered palette. I just basically added a very light brown, ash brown on my eye, blended that out, and then added some metallic eyeshadow on my lid. The shades that I use on my lid are a mixture of the Too Faced Chocolate Bar palette, shade Marzipan, and also the Huda Beauty Rose Gold Remastered palette in Moondust. And then I added a very faint smoky liner on my eye using the Huda Beauty Rose Gold Remastered palette, both in my waterline and also on my lid. Finish that off with my favourite lashes from Amazon at the moment. I will put the link down below. The base that I've done is again using my Huda Beauty Faux Filter Foundation, the Tarte Shape Tape Concealers, my Laura Mercier Translucent Powder, and Laura Mercier Highlighter in Indiscretion. My bronzed glow is using Sleek Cosmetics Contour Palette, and then I finished that off with the Butter Gloss by NYX in the shade Angel Food Cake. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video. Please remember, this isn't like a man-hating video, but there is no denying some of the things that us as women go through our childhood up until our adulthood, and then work in the work environment and so many other scenarios. And more importantly, I feel like it's very, very important for men to get involved in these discussions. Please remember that the conversation goes way, 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 way deeper than anything that I've touched on here. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to my YouTube channel and follow me on Instagram. My entire Let's Talk series is available on both. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope I will see you in the next one. Bye guys!